Hello everyone. It's great to see you again in today's video. In the small, warm kitchen with soft yellow lights, Tu Tien flipped through each cookbook that Jack's mother had given her the day before. She stood next to the wooden table and chairs, her fingers gently tracing the clearly printed lines, her eyes focused as if she wanted to memorize each step. Occasionally, she paused for a few seconds, tilted her head slightly to think, imagining what she would cook today to surprise and please Jack. The recipes in the book made Tu Tien feel both excited and warm. Each dish seemed to carry Jack's mother's care for her. When she read the dish she wanted to cook, her eyes lit up, the corners of her lips curved into a small, determined smile. Without further hesitation, Tu Tien closed the book, gently placed it on the table, then turned around to look around the kitchen. She began to recall each ingredient she needed, thinking as she walked to the refrigerator and kitchen counter. Tu Tien took out each type of vegetable and began the preparation process. Under the soft kitchen light, her hands skillfully held the knife, carefully peeling off each thin layer of skin, each stroke evenly and softly, as if she had been familiar with it for a long time. Her face was attentive, her eyes following each thin slice that gradually revealed the fresh vegetable flesh inside. After peeling, she brought each type of vegetable to the sink, gently rinsing it with water to wash away all the dirt. Then Tu Tien carefully trimmed the carrots into beautiful flower shapes. Under her meticulous hands, the rough carrots were transformed into bright orange flowers, the white radishes transformed into pure petals. Each vegetable flower seemed to carry Tu Tien's joy and care, making the kitchen more lively and full of life. In the small kitchen, the sound of the gas fire was faintly heard. Tu Tien stood in front of the stove with a neat black apron, concentrating on stirring each ingredient in the pan. The aroma began to spread lightly, blending with the warmth of the stove, making the room warmer than ever. While cooking, she smiled slightly to herself, thinking of Jack returning after a long day and seeing a hot tray of food waiting for him. The dishes she chose today were all dishes she had just learned from a cookbook, hoping that Jack would like them. So Tu Tien took extra care, seasoning carefully, stirring evenly, then sniffing to see if the flavor was okay. Next to the stove, the small pot was still simmering. The steam rising up made a few strands of hair on both sides of her temples curl slightly. Tu Tien wiped her hands on a towel, looked down at the bowl of ingredients in her hand, then gently put each item into the pan, her movements practiced as if she had done it many times. Every time she heard the crackling sound of the fire or the aroma rising more clearly, an indescribable feeling of warmth rose in her heart. While Tu Tien was busy finishing the last dish, the sound of the door opening softly signaled Jack's return. As soon as he entered the kitchen, he was immediately stunned by the dining table filled with delicious dishes that were neatly arranged. Jack's eyes lit up with delight, his smile widening. "Oh, it looks so appealing. It looks really delicious," Jack happily praised, his voice filled with surprise and pride. Tu Tien blushed slightly when she heard that, wiped her hand lightly on her apron and softly replied, "I only did it according to the book. Not very good." Jack chuckled lightly, walked to her side, gently helped her turn the pot and prepare the spices. "If you can do this from a book, you're very good. Let me help you cook the last dish." The two stood next to each other in a warm and happy atmosphere, cooking and chatting. Jack walked closer, gently picked up the ladle to help Tu Tien scoop the remaining dishes onto the table. Occasionally, Jack would tease her, making Tu Tien giggle, and she would tell him a few small stories while cooking. The sound of laughter mixed with the aroma of food spread throughout the kitchen, creating a warm and intimate atmosphere. In just that moment, all the fatigue of a long day seemed to disappear, leaving a feeling of peace as the two of them finished the family meal together. When all the dishes were served, Jack and Tu Tien sat down across from each other. The meal took place in a warm and laughter-filled atmosphere. While eating, they told each other about their work during the day. Jack talked about the funny customers he met, and Tu Tien talked about cooking and small stories that made her laugh. Every word they said was gentle and close, as if the two of them were used to sharing everything in life. In the middle of the lively conversation, Jack suddenly put down his chopsticks, smiled and said, "After eating, let's go choose furniture for the new house. I want the two of us to have a beautiful and comfortable space." Hearing that, Tu Tien's eyes lit up, joy clearly showing on her face. She nodded slightly, her heart filled with excitement. The thought of choosing each item for her future home with Jack made her feel strangely happy, as if a new chapter in her life was truly beginning. In another place, Tu Tien's evil mother-in-law was sitting and complaining because she had not earned any money for the past few days and had not eaten anything. She sighed that she could not trick Jack into giving her money, and even his mother could not get any money. She was thinking about how to get money from Jack and his mother, otherwise she would starve to death because she had no money. Then she stood up and boldly said that she would go to Jack's farm to look for money. When Jack and Tu Tien finished eating, they cleaned the kitchen together. When they finished, Tu Tien changed clothes to go with Jack to buy furniture for their new house. Jack took Tu Tien to a large furniture and home appliance store, where bright lights reflected on rows of neatly arranged goods. As soon as she entered, Tu Tien was overwhelmed by the spacious and modern space. Everywhere were brand new items, from televisions, refrigerators, washing machines to countless devices that she had only seen in books or advertisements. Jack gently held Tu Tien's hand, leading her to the refrigerator display area. Before their eyes was a long row of refrigerator models of all sizes, designs and colors, some luxurious with shiny mirror doors, some large with separate freezer compartments, some compact and convenient. Jack took Tu Tien to choose which refrigerator model would be suitable for the space of their new home. They listened to the consultant and looked at each item for reference. The store staff warmly led Jack and Tu Tien to the wooden furniture display area. As soon as they arrived, they saw a space filled with tables and chairs with intricately carved patterns, smooth wood and sharp lines down to every detail. Each set had its own beauty, luxurious and full of art. Tu Tien stood still, her eyes wide open at the sophistication of these furniture items. She didn't know what to choose. Everything was so beautiful that it made her confused. Seeing that, Jack just smiled, gently stood next to her, analyzed each model, asked her opinion, and then helped her choose the most suitable sets for her new home. Tu Tien stood beside her, feeling both happy and moved. After carefully examining and liking a few items, the two returned to the counter. Jack confidently read out the names of each item he had chosen, from the wooden table and chairs, refrigerator, television to other household items. The store staff quickly recorded them in the book, confirmed the list, and scheduled a delivery date to their new home. Tu Tien stood beside them, feeling both happy and moved. Each item was not just an item, but also a piece of the puzzle that made up the home that she and Jack were building together. After choosing and buying the necessary items for the house, Jack and Tu Tien stood up together to leave, and the two wanted to go into the farm to see their new home. When Jack and Tu Tien entered the farm with excitement, they walked around the new kitchen that was gradually being completed. The construction space was still covered with brick dust, but somewhere there was a faint image of a cozy kitchen in the middle of the mountains and forests. They stopped to watch the workers meticulously placing each brick, listening to the conversation and the sound of tools lightly colliding in the air. Looking at the kitchen frame taking shape, Tu Tien smiled with delight, while Jack could not hide his satisfaction at the daily changes of the farm. Next to Tu Tien's father-in-law, he asked Jack about Tu Tien's health. He answered him that Tu Tien still could not remember anything after the accident, and he was also trying to help her regain her memory but still could not hear. He sat down dejectedly to one side. At this time, Jack needed to go out to get the tools for the workers, so he told Tu Tien to stay at the farm so he could go out to get some things and come back right away. Tu Tien happily agreed, telling him to be careful and come back quickly. Tu Tien also sat down to talk, still unable to remember that the person in front of her was her ex-father-in-law. the one who had always loved her like his own daughter. The two were sitting and talking to each other when suddenly from afar a voice called his name. They both turned around and he discovered that it was his evil wife who had come here. He immediately stood up to chase her away because he was afraid that she would affect Tu Tien. But despite her husband's chase, she still tried to approach Tu Tien to ask. Tu Tien saw that she seemed fierce, so she was very scared and backed away. She felt that Tu Tien seemed strange and did not recognize her, so she approached to ask. At this time, because she was too scared, Tu Tien felt a headache. She raised her hand to hold her head, feeling uncomfortable. Seeing Tu Tien struggling with the pain, her father-in-law immediately scolded and pulled his wife away, but she was still extremely stubborn. Tu Tien now had no strength left and sat down on the ground, making her father-in-law worried. He tried to pull his wife away while she continued to mumble dirty things in Tu Tien's ear, making her uncomfortable. At this time, Jack returned home and immediately ran to help Tu Tien up and chased her out of his farm. With the efforts of his father-in-law, he finally chased her away. Ong turned back to ask about Tu Tien's situation and told Jack to stay and take care of Tu Tien. After the fear, Tu Tien gradually calmed down and Jack worriedly asked her if she was okay. Tu Tien said that when she came, she suddenly felt uncomfortable and her head flashed with images of how she had abused and tortured her in the past. So she felt very scared. Seeing Tu Tien say that, Jack suddenly said, "It seems like you have remembered everything. I will comfort you. Don't worry. The past is over. Now you have me by your side. I will take care of you and protect you. Don't be afraid." Jack hugged Tu Tien in his arms and let her lean on his shoulder, as if to prove that his shoulder would always be a solid support for her.